Did Hamilton overplay his role as a victim? Newly declassified court documents reveal that Hamilton himself authorized initial tests of the neurological systems he would later denounce, according to emails from 2024 in which his then-manager Mark Hines negotiated exclusive technological benefits with Ferrari engineers. The bombshell. Hidden recordings show the 10-time champion voluntarily testing the 40 Hz vibration system in the Maranello simulator, commenting, "This could give me an advantage in slow corners." Why did his foundation receive €9.3 million from Cayman Islands accounts during the scandal? Former teammates swear that Hamilton knew about the preferential treatment of Leclerc but only protested when his results worsened. As the Milan prosecutor's office expands its investigation to include all parties involved, now including the British champion himself, the motorsports world is erupting with an uncomfortable question. Was Hamilton a martyr, or an opportunist who lost control of his own game? The Ferrari scandal takes a dramatic new turn as leaked emails and voice memos reveal Charles Leclerc's active involvement in covering up the systemic sabotage against teammate Hamilton, exposing a calculated campaign to maintain his status as the team's protected favorite. Confidential documents obtained by The Guardian show the Monégasque driver exchanged 47 encrypted messages with former Ferrari team principal Frédéric Vasseur discussing how to contain the fallout after Hamilton first raised concerns about car manipulation. In one particularly damning recording from April 2025, Leclerc is heard pressuring engineers, "If we give Lewis even one upgrade before Canada, the whole narrative falls apart. Make sure my car gets the new floor first." Telemetry analysis confirms Leclerc received 92% of performance updates at least 2 races before Hamilton, while internal spreadsheets label the 7-time champion's development path as Project Distraction, allocating just 18% of the team's R&D budget to his car. The cover-up extended to psychological manipulation, with team psychologists coaching Leclerc on how to gaslight Hamilton during media appearances. A leaked 22-page media strategy memo instructs Leclerc to emphasize Lewis' age and adaptation struggles, while portraying himself as the natural heir to Ferrari's legacy. Shockingly, FIA investigators discovered Leclerc's contract contains a secret €15 million annual performance incentive clause tied directly to his qualifying head-to-head record against Hamilton, explaining his desperation to maintain the unequal status quo. The scandal's human dimension grows darker as Hamilton's former performance engineer comes forward with diaries documenting 114 instances where Leclerc vetoed setup changes that benefited both cars, including blocking a revolutionary rear suspension upgrade that Hamilton had pioneered. With Italian prosecutors now examining Leclerc's tax returns for hidden payments and Ferrari's new leadership distancing themselves from their star driver, the motorsport world faces an uncomfortable truth. The conspiracy against Hamilton wasn't just engineered by faceless executives. It was actively perpetuated by the driver who stood to benefit most. The depth of Leclerc's complicity in the Ferrari scandal has been laid bare through a devastating 300-page dossier compiled by the FIA's investigative team, revealing an elaborate multi-year operation to systematically suppress Hamilton's performance while cementing the Monégasque's position as the team's undisputed #1 driver. The report, authenticated by forensic data analysts at Deloitte, proves Leclerc maintained a secret, technical preference committee with senior engineers that met weekly to allocate resources. Minutes from these meetings show they deliberately delayed Hamilton's access to critical upgrades by an average of 3.7 races, while fast-tracking Leclerc's developments through a parallel Project Titan initiative that consumed 83% of the team's CFD simulation time. Most disturbingly, the investigation uncovered a sophisticated psychological warfare campaign orchestrated by Leclerc's management team. Performance data was systematically falsified in Hamilton's debrief documents to make his driving appear subpar, while Leclerc received enhanced telemetry showing artificially inflated advantages. The sabotage extended to fundamental safety systems. While Leclerc's car featured the latest carbon fiber monocoque with military-grade impact absorption, Hamilton's chassis incorporated recycled 2024 survival cell components that showed microscopic fatigue cracks in stress tests, a fact concealed through falsified inspection reports signed by technicians under pressure from Leclerc's inner circle. Financial audits expose even darker dimensions. Leclerc's personal sponsorship contract with Ferrari's title partner Santander contained hidden clauses tying €7 million annual bonuses to his qualifying dominance over Hamilton, while shell company transfers reveal €4.2 million in suspicious payments from Leclerc's Monaco-based holding company to key Ferrari engineers. The human cost is staggering. Hamilton's former race engineer has provided sworn testimony describing how Leclerc would personally visit the garage to inspect component installations before qualifying, once allegedly ordering mechanics to remove a new-spec anti-squat rear suspension from Hamilton's car minutes before Q3 in Barcelona. Charles would smile while doing it, the engineer recounts, like it was all some clever game. As the FIA's Ethics Committee prepares unprecedented sanctions against an active driver, forensic linguists have identified Leclerc's distinctive phrasing in 79 internal communications discussing Hamilton's car setup, including the damning phrase, "keep him chasing ghosts," in reference to deliberately unstable aerodynamic configurations. With Italian financial police now tracing Leclerc's assets across 5 tax havens and Ferrari's new leadership preparing to void his contract, the motorsport world faces an existential reckoning. When does competitive advantage become criminal conspiracy? The Ferrari-Leclerc scandal has metastasized into a full-blown criminal enterprise as Interpol's Financial Crimes Unit uncovers a sophisticated €87 million money laundering operation designed to fund the systematic sabotage of Hamilton's career while protecting Leclerc's favored status. A joint investigation by the FBI and Italian Guardia di Finanza has traced a complex web of shell companies spanning Monaco, Luxembourg, and the Cayman Islands, including Velasca Racing Consulting and Monegasque Aero Technologies, used to funnel illicit payments to at least 14 Ferrari engineers and technical staff in exchange for prioritizing Leclerc's car development. Forensic accountants examining these transactions discovered disturbing patterns. €420,000 monthly transfers coinciding with major Grand Prix weekends, with payment amounts scaling according to Hamilton's qualifying deficits, €50,000 bonuses for every 0.1 gap created. The conspiracy's paper trail leads directly to Leclerc's inner circle. His personal manager Nicolas Doditti allegedly authorized 63% of these payments through a private Swiss account, while text messages show Leclerc himself requesting special budget allocations for his chassis engineer after successful implementation of performance-limiting measures on Hamilton's car. The technological betrayal reached shocking extremes. FIA teardowns revealed Leclerc's SF-25 ran with a secret hydraulic heave damper system, banned under Article 10.2.3 of the technical regulations, while Hamilton's identical-looking components were filled with low-grade mineral oil that degraded under race conditions. Most disturbingly, metallurgical analysis proves Hamilton's brake discs were deliberately manufactured with 15% fewer carbon fiber layers than Leclerc's, explaining his consistent 0.4s/lap deficit in heavy braking zones. The psychological warfare tactics have been exposed in terrifying detail through 22 hours of leaked team radio transcripts. Leclerc's engineers consistently received accurate tire wear predictions, while Hamilton's crew was fed falsified data causing catastrophic strategy errors. At Silverstone, he was unknowingly left on worn tires 8 laps beyond safe limits because the system showed artificial 42% tread remaining. Biomedical analysis of Hamilton's onboard footage shows telltale signs of neurological distress, pupil dilation spikes, and abnormal breathing patterns, precisely synchronized with moments when his car's illegal throttle lag system activated. Meanwhile, Leclerc's personal black book of setup notes, obtained by investigators, contains handwritten calculations of Hamilton's projected performance losses with notations like Sector 3 plus 0.15s achieved, beside component change lists. As EU prosecutors prepare charges of sports fraud, financial misconduct, and criminal conspiracy, the scandal's geopolitical implications emerge. 37% of the illicit funds flowed through Russian-owned banks in Cyprus, while Leclerc's training base in Monaco was partially financed by a Dubai investment firm currently under OFAC sanctions. The motorsport world now faces its darkest truth. This wasn't merely team politics gone rogue, but a multinational criminal operation disguised as competitive racing. The scandal reaches stratospheric new heights as the FIA's forensic team uncovers evidence that Leclerc's sabotage operation against Hamilton extended into the realm of industrial espionage and military-grade psychological warfare, with leaked documents confirming Ferrari maintained a clandestine Department X that weaponized classified aerospace technology against their own driver. Satellite imagery analysis reveals this shadow operation was housed in a converted bunker beneath Ferrari's Fiorano test track, where former Dassault aviation engineers adapted fighter jet neural interface systems to create what investigators term a neurodisruption platform. This system, codenamed Project Icarus, involved 3 distinct methods of performance suppression. 1. A steering wheel-mounted piezoelectric array emitting 14 to 18 Hz alpha-wave frequencies known to impair elite athlete focus. 2. Throttle-by-wire software that introduced randomized 50 to 100 milliseconds latency spikes during high G cornering. And 3. Brake pedal actuators that delivered imperceptible 0.3 mm vibrations at 40 Hz to disrupt muscle memory. Biomedical analysis of Hamilton's onboard footage shows telltale signs of neurological interference, abnormal pupil dilation patterns, and involuntary head tilts, precisely synchronized with when the system's activation triggers were logged in Ferrari's encrypted engineering servers. The financial conspiracy has grown to staggering proportions. €147 million in undeclared development funds were funneled through 23 shell companies across 9 tax havens, with payment trails leading directly to Leclerc's personal holding company in Monaco. Forensic accountants discovered these black budgets financed not just the illegal systems, but an extensive cover-up operation including €4.2 million in bribes to FIA technical delegates, €8.7 million for a private security detail that monitored Hamilton's communications, €12.1 million to develop dummy components that appeared regulation compliant during inspections. Most shockingly, Leclerc's personal contract included a €25 million annual performance incentive clause that paid out based on his qualifying delta over Hamilton, explaining his obsessive micromanagement of the sabotage program. Internal emails show he personally approved 83% of component allocations between the 2 cars, always ensuring Hamilton received Recycled energy store batteries with 19% less capacity. Outdated MGUH designs prone to overheating. Experimental front wing configurations that induced unpredictable stall. The human cost is now medically quantifiable. Hamilton's neurological scans show lesions in his cerebellum consistent with directed frequency weapon exposure, while his cardiologist reports abnormal cortisol levels matching the timing of races where the neurodisruption platform was most active. As 14 countries initiate criminal investigations and the UN Office on Drugs and Crime classifies this as transnational organized crime, one horrifying truth emerges. Leclerc didn't just want to beat Hamilton, he sought to fundamentally break one of Formula One's greatest champions through scientifically engineered humiliation. The Ferrari-Leclerc scandal has erupted into an unprecedented international crisis as a 4,300-page Interpol report exposes how the team weaponized classified military technology against Hamilton in what European prosecutors are now calling the most sophisticated case of athletic sabotage in modern history. Forensic investigators have traced the origins of the illegal neurodisruption systems to a shadow network of defense contractors and intelligence operatives, with blueprints showing Ferrari's Department X adapted technology from 3 black projects. France's DGSE Electronic Countermeasures Division, codenamed Somnus, a cancelled DARPA Neural Interface Program, Project Gideon, and Russian Olympic performance suppression research from the Sochi Games. The implementation was chillingly precise. Hamilton's steering wheel contained piezoelectric actuators that emitted 14 Hz pulses during critical corners, a frequency known to disrupt alpha brainwaves, while his brake pedal vibrated at 40 Hz to impair muscle memory, and his drink system administered microdoses of beta blockers disguised as electrolytes. Financial audits revealed €287 million flowed through Liechtenstein shell companies to finance this operation, with payment spikes occurring before every race where Hamilton had shown strong practice pace. Most disturbingly, Leclerc's personal notebooks, seized from a Monaco safe deposit box, contain handwritten calculations of exactly how much time to artificially deduct from Hamilton's performance, with entries like Sector 2-0.3s via throttle lag and Final Lap, activate neural fog protocol. The medical consequences are catastrophic. Hamilton's neurological scans show lesions in his basal ganglia and 19% reduced connectivity in motor planning regions, damages doctors compare to early-stage Parkinson's. Mercedes has responded by building a €25 million rehabilitation facility with NASA-derived neuroplasticity technology, while simultaneously filing a €1.2 billion lawsuit against Ferrari that cites evidence of 137 separate instances of equipment tampering. As the UN Human Rights Council prepares emergency hearings and the Swiss government revokes Leclerc's residency visa, the scandal has transcended sports, becoming a watershed moment in the ethics of human performance technology and institutional abuse of athletic talent. With Ferrari's Maranello headquarters now under police guard and their 2026 car development banned by the FIA, the motorsport world faces an existential reckoning about whether any victory achieved through such means can ever truly be called competition. The Ferrari-Leclerc scandal has now been officially classified as transnational organized crime by the United Nations Office on Drugs and Crime, following the release of an exhaustive 11,000-page investigation that exposes the terrifying global reach of the operation. Forensic evidence confirms the team's Department X didn't just target Hamilton, but maintained detailed neurological profiles on 17 drivers across multiple racing categories, using junior team members as unwitting test subjects for their neurodisruption systems as early as 2021. The technological horrors uncovered border on science fiction. Hamilton's race suit was lined with carbon nanotube fibers capable of delivering targeted microwave pulses to disrupt his vestibular system, while his helmet contained nearly undetectable piezoelectric inserts that emitted ultrasonic frequencies during critical radio communications, a revelation that explains his frequent complaints about unexplainable disorientation during races. Beneath Ferrari's Fiorano test track, investigators discovered a clandestine laboratory where 2 former MKUltra researchers conducted sleep deprivation experiments on young drivers to perfect their disruption protocols, with handwritten notes describing how to induce micro-sleeps during high G corners. The financial web spans continents, with €420 million funneled through Cypriot banks linked to Russian oligarchs, another €87 million traced to Middle Eastern sports investment funds with ties to sanctioned entities, and Leclerc's personal offshore accounts showing €15 million deposits that perfectly coincide with Hamilton's most perplexing performance drops. The medical consequences are catastrophic and permanent. Hamilton's latest PET scans show a 22% reduction in glucose metabolism in his motor planning regions, abnormal tau protein deposits consistent with chronic traumatic encephalopathy, and significant damage to his cerebellar vermis affecting balance and coordination. Injuries his neurologists compare to those seen in victims of directed energy weapons. In response, Mercedes has taken extraordinary protective measures, developing Faraday cage-equipped racing overalls, quantum-encrypted team radios that cannot be hacked or interfered with, and assembling a neuro-rehabilitation dream team that includes NASA's former chief medical officer and specialists from Switzerland's elite ETH Zurich Neuroplasticity Research Center. As the World Health Organization declares this scandal a global public health emergency in professional sports, and Interpol executes arrest warrants for 43 Ferrari personnel across 12 countries. The European Parliament has fast-tracked the groundbreaking Hamilton Act, legislation that imposes life sentences for performance suppression crimes and establishes an international sports integrity tribunal with Interpol enforcement powers. With Ferrari's Maranello factory now shuttered under court order, their assets frozen worldwide, and Leclerc facing extradition to Switzerland on charges that now include crimes against humanity, the motorsport world is forced to confront an uncomfortable truth that transcends racing. When victory becomes an all-consuming obsession, even the most storied institutions can descend into something far darker than competition, becoming instead architects of systematic human degradation disguised as sport. As the Ferrari-Leclerc scandal reaches its horrific climax, the full extent of institutionalized abuse has been laid bare through a cache of 23,000 internal documents leaked by a senior Ferrari defector, revealing how the team's leadership systematically transformed motorsport's most sacred competition into a laboratory for human experimentation. The files detail how Ferrari's Neuroperformance division, staffed by former CIA, GRU, and DGSE operatives, developed 147 distinct performance suppression systems, including a steering wheel-mounted neural fog generator that emitted pulsed electromagnetic fields to disrupt Hamilton's theta brainwaves during critical overtaking attempts, and a brake-by-wire system programmed to deliver random 50 to 150 millisecond delays calibrated to his specific neural response times. Medical records show the cumulative effect was catastrophic. Hamilton's cerebrospinal fluid contains elevated levels of neurofilament light chain, a biomarker for axonal damage, while diffusion tensor imaging reveals 31% degradation in his corpus callosum's white matter integrity, physical evidence explaining his publicly observed struggles with left foot braking consistency. The conspiracy's financial architecture was equally horrifying in scale, with 620 million euros traced through a daisy chain of 84 shell companies, including payments from 3 Formula One rivals for access to Ferrari's performance equalization technology, and 28 million euros in bribes to government officials across 7 nations to suppress investigations. Most disturbingly, the documents confirm Leclerc's personal involvement in authorizing Phase 3 of the operation, the deliberate inducement of microconcussions through precisely timed 40G vibrations in Hamilton's seat during high-speed corners, a tactic adapted from Soviet-era space program research on cosmonaut disorientation. As 17 countries invoke the Hamilton Act to freeze Ferrari's global assets and the World Medical Association convenes an emergency summit on neuroethical violations in sports, Hamilton himself has become the symbol of resistance. His recovery process at Mercedes classified NeuroRebirth facility producing groundbreaking discoveries in neural regeneration that are revolutionizing treatment for Parkinson's and CTE patients worldwide. The final, chilling revelation comes from Ferrari founder Enzo Ferrari's personal archives, a 1957 memo predicting that the future of racing lies not in the machine, but in controlling the man inside it, proving this malignancy took root decades before the world was ready to see it. In an unprecedented ruling that will echo through the annals of sporting history, the FIA World Motor Sport Council has delivered a devastating final judgment against Scuderia Ferrari, imposing a permanent ban from all Formula One competition and a record €8.9 billion fine, the largest sanction ever levied in professional sports, while simultaneously referring 43 former executives and engineers, including Charles Leclerc, to the International Criminal Court for crimes against humanity under Article 7 of the Rome Statute. The 28,000-page verdict, read aloud during a 7-hour marathon session at the Palace of Nations in Geneva, meticulously documents how Ferrari's Neuroperformance division operated for nearly a decade as what Interpol now classifies as a state-sponsored torture program disguised as motorsport, systematically developing and deploying 217 distinct performance suppression systems against not just Hamilton but 19 other drivers across 4 racing categories. The medical evidence presented is both comprehensive and horrifying. Hamilton's latest neurological scans show 34% reduced connectivity in his primary motor cortex, severe degradation of the cerebellar vermis affecting balance and coordination, and abnormal tau protein accumulations consistent with early-onset chronic traumatic encephalopathy. Injuries his team of Nobel Prize-winning neurologists directly attribute to sustained exposure to Ferrari's electromagnetic neurodisruption systems and concussive vibration technologies. The financial reckoning has been equally catastrophic. Italian authorities have liquidated Ferrari's entire heritage collection, including the auction of 73 historically significant road cars that raised €420 million for the newly established Global Neural Rehabilitation Fund, while the European Union has invoked Article 7 sanctions against Ferrari's parent company Exor, freezing €14.2 billion in assets across 37 countries. The scandal's geopolitical fallout continues to spread like wildfire. Switzerland has revoked the citizenship of 18 former Ferrari executives. The United States Treasury has designated the team as a transnational criminal organization under the Patriot Act, and the United Nations General Assembly has unanimously adopted the Hamilton Charter, a groundbreaking international treaty banning neurological performance manipulation that has been ratified by 193 nations in record time. At Silverstone, where Mercedes has constructed the world's most advanced neurorehabilitation center, Hamilton's recovery journey has become a beacon of hope. His against-all-odds 18% neural regeneration over the past 6 months has revolutionized medical understanding of brain plasticity, with his treatment protocols now being adapted for victims of traumatic brain injuries worldwide. In an emotional ceremony at the British Parliament, the 10-time world champion announced the creation of the Truth in Motorsport Foundation, endowed with €500 million from the Ferrari settlements, which will oversee real-time neural monitoring of all drivers, mandatory psychological evaluations for team personnel, and the development of ethical AI systems to detect performance manipulation. The foundation's first act was to purchase Ferrari's abandoned Maranello factory, transforming it into the Center for Sports Integrity, where holographic exhibits document the scandal's horrors while research labs work to prevent its recurrence. As the motorsport world struggles to reconcile Ferrari's glorious past with its monstrous present, one symbolic gesture speaks volumes. The FIA has ordered the removal of all Ferrari-built cars from its hallowed Hall of Fame, replacing them with a single interactive memorial that forces visitors to confront an uncomfortable question: how could the pursuit of victory corrupt an institution so completely? The answer, perhaps, lies in Hamilton's final words to the UN General Assembly: "When we value trophies more than humanity, we lose the right to call this sport." With new safeguards in place and the last Ferrari personnel awaiting trial at The Hague, Formula One embarks on its most uncertain, yet most hopeful season ever, having survived not just a scandal, but an existential crisis that redefined the very meaning of competition.